Hey everybody, welcome back to Two Bears Homestead. My name is Paul. If you're new here, welcome. Pull up a chair and join us. We're happy to have you. And I do hope you sit through these videos, or this video particularly, to the end. It's not clickbait, so I just want to kind of put that right out there. But I'm going to share my story for the past week, and it's hard because I don't want to seem like I'm drawing attention to myself and saying, well, woe is me, because that's not how I feel. But I do feel that I've drawn some big lessons from this, and I kind of want to share that with you. But I do want to touch on two things. The first thing is homesteading in general. Homesteading is a mindset, and it's a journey and a path that we all come to in different ways. And the general society kind of is pushing back on it a little bit, like we're weirdos. Some of us are. Maybe I'm a weirdo. I don't know. But we all come to it differently. And for us, and most people, the path is through food. And with COVID, it woke a lot of people up, and it laid bare the vulnerabilities of the American food supply and our society and our ability to source this stuff. And as I am talking about this, apparently there's an egg crisis out there. And, the funny thing is, homesteaders that have their own sources aren't in egg crisis, just the general public is. But we're not really in an egg crisis, and that's not the point of this video. So we come to it through food. And the passion builds the more you educate yourself about the American food system. And for me and Rob, it's about, we were looking to source cleaner food, healthier food. It's not necessarily less expensive if you're not able to procure it yourself, if you have to go out and buy it. But we're looking for healthier ingredients to make healthier food at home, and stuff that's more real and more connected to what our bodies are designed to eat. We're not designed to eat the processed foods and all that stuff. Yes, there's a place for, canned beans and things like that, just as an example. But, I can can my own beans now that I know how to do it. So this whole, like the tenets of our channel are education, health, and then of course financial freedom. So part of that education is learning how to do those things, to can the things that we like to eat, so it's more sustainable, in the long run. Now it's a lot of work, and it's definitely a labor of love, but at the end of the day, it's about that journey back to wholesome, fresh foods and everything, I don't want to say self-sustainable, but coming from within, our household, the things that we've done to, kind of circumvent the nastiness of the American food system. We're not there yet by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, we still have to go food shopping, but we're doing less and less, and we're buying more of what we need in the raw or whole form to break it down to whatever it is that we're going to, use it for. So the journey is about food. And also in this mindset, it's like a connection back to what's real and what's important. I'll be the first to tell you, I love Hamburger Helper. Let's just use that as an example. I think that stuff is amazing. It's tasty, it's delicious, and it's pure poison. Pure poison. So knowing how to make Hamburger Helper, basically, it's pretty easy to do from scratch. It just takes a little more time. So it's getting back to what's important and the connection back to our food, and getting back to healthier food that our bodies can utilize correctly. I'm learning that lesson right now, like hard learning that lesson. So that brings us to what happened. So I kind of just wanted to touch base on the mindset, because it is a mindset. We're not crazy people. Where we just want to be reconnected to what's real and what's important, and in a kumbaya kind of way, we want to be reconnected back to the earth and back to our planet. Did you know that we're like one of the only species on the planet that can actually go days and months without actually touching our planet? Like, we're on shoes, we're in cars, we're on trains, we're not actually down on the planet, on the dirt. So it's an interesting observation, but many people will think that's just a weird statement, but that's just how I feel and how many of us feel. So, but back to me and what happened to me and us is today is Sunday as I'm recording this video. Hopefully I'll have this video up today as well. Is a week ago Friday, so last week, I had an asthma, not an asthma attack, an allergy attack. It was all my sinuses. Just that hay fever, blow in the nose, take Benadryl, chill, get it out of your system kind of day. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what I thought it was. And that's exactly how I responded. And so I did my business, took my Benadryl, laid low. I was feeling better on Friday night. Saturday, I was, back in the saddle, feeling good. Sunday, I was feeling good. I actually, on Sunday, last week, went to the airport, pick up my stepbrother. My father was having a minor surgery on Monday, so he needed to be in town to help with some family stuff. And I was at dinner at Dad's house on Sunday night, and right around 8 o'clock, I felt like an asthma attack starting. And I have asthma. I have adult onset asthma, 30 years in the restaurant business, dirty air, blah, blah, blah. So I knew that I was going to have an asthma attack. I could feel it happening. I hit my inhaler, then I went home because, there's no point in me staying there. And just to backtrack just a quick second, on Saturday morning, I did take a COVID test because I knew I was going to be seeing my father. And I knew he had that surgery, so I wanted to make sure, everything was hunky-dory. And I did test negative twice. So I went home Sunday night, and I just could not break the asthma attack. It was just getting worse and worse and worse. And come Monday morning, I hadn't slept all night because it was it was an asthma attack. And, I didn't feel that I was in any kind of trouble. I just couldn't lay down and sleep. I had to sit up, and you can't sleep sitting in this chair, which is the only comfortable chair, when you want to sit up. So on Monday morning, I was like, you know what, maybe this is a histamine attack, and maybe I just need more antihistamine. So I took a couple more Benadryls, and I promptly fell asleep, and I was out for 4 or 5 hours. So I woke up around noon, and I could not breathe. I felt like I just had this weight over me, but I wasn't in discomfort. I just couldn't breathe. So I don't know why I didn't do this Sunday night, but I have a pulse oximeter that goes on your fingers, and I checked my oxygen saturation, and it was low. It was in the mid 80s, it was 86, 85, 86. Kind of snapped me up a little bit, and I sat up. I was still laying down. I sat up, got myself a little more alert, and I was sitting up, and then I put the meter back on. I checked several different fingers, and I was reading 90, 92. Still very low, and I'll go into those numbers in a minute. But I just wasn't thinking that I was in some kind of trouble. So, I went into the bathroom, freshened up and all that stuff, but I was exhausted that I had to sit down in the bathroom to catch my breath a minute. And I'm like, that's not me. So, I have some friends and family that are in the medical profession. So I reached out to them, and, they all said in their own way that I need to call my doctor or go to my doctor or some fashion of that. Oh, but I knew better. I knew that all I had to do was just get through this asthma attack and I would be fine. The hard-headedness that people can get, and I'm one of them sometimes, apparently. So through Monday afternoon, I wasn't really getting any better, and I just, my instincts were telling me that they were right, but I was just like, no, it's just an asthma attack. I get these all the time. So I, finally around 4 o'clock, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the emergency clinic or the urgent care, which is actually part of our hospital system, but it's just closer than the actual emergency room. So I went to the urgent care, and when I got to the counter, I had my license out. I got to the counter, and I was, as one of my friends put it, guppy breathing. I couldn't breathe. I was gasping for air at that counter. Now, that walk was maybe 100 feet from my car to the counter. I mean, it wasn't really that far. It was a very close parking spot. And I said to the girl, I was like, I can't breathe. She's like, I can already tell. I already have somebody coming up. We're going to take care of you right now. So they were on it. And sure enough, a nurse was walking right up with an oxygen tank. She hooked me right up, got me back there, and then they all did their thing. So, but I was in a crisis. It was a pure crisis. And, my pulse oxygen saturation, dipped into the 70s when I was in that room for like a hot minute. And that was some scary stuff. And, I didn't know behind the scenes what was going on, but I was never alone. I was in that room. They were on me. They were taking care of me. It was like a scene out of ER. I mean, it was like they were on me, and it was a little overwhelming. It was because now I'm not thinking very clearly at this point because I am having some oxygen deprivation. So get through all that, the crisis mode. They get me, I responded to the treatments, and I'm settled down and I'm feeling better, and I'm now a little, now like the Paul in me is kicking in. I'm starting to ask questions. So the doctor came in, and he sat down. He was wonderful. He was, caring, professional. He did not stand. One thing I hate is when doctors stand over you and talk to you. He sat down, got right, I don't want to say got right in my face, but he got in my face, and he just laid it out, and he told me how much trouble I was in, and he told me that he was like already making the phone calls to have me admitted to ICU for intubation. He told me, he's like, that's how close I was, and that if I did not respond to the treatment, that those were going to be my options, or that was going to be my option. He did say that he wasn't overly concerned, but he did say that I mean, it was part of his responsibility to make sure that if this went this way, that he already had that that plan in place. He was confident that I was going to respond to the treatment, but he's like, if I didn't, that's what was going to happen. So, and we had a long conversation, and he was confident to send me home. So off I went. I went home. Monday night was rough. Tuesday was rough. I did have a telehealth with my doctor on Tuesday, like mid afternoon. By the time I was able to get the appointment, so my doctor was very good in just getting me situated mentally with what I was dealing with and understanding the medications I'm on. What I need to do, what could happen. Just really put me at ease to be comfortable in my recovery. Because when you don't know, you just don't know, and fear builds. So I needed, and she was really good at it to settle me down, emotionally, so to speak. So that's Tuesday. So I'm home alone at that point. We had made the decision that Rob would go to work. Rob's company is they're wonderful people. He loves his job. He wants to do right by them, and so they've been very, very generous with him, and they love having him. So it's through the holidays. We had some family things come up where we had to take a day off here and there, over the course of December-ish. So we felt that this wasn't enough now to take another day off of work. So I was home alone, and I wanted to backtrack. They tested me in the hospital for COVID and the flu, and I did have influenza B. So I'm home now, and technically I have the flu. So, there was no point in him being home and, risking more exposure. So, fortunately, here, we can open up the doors and windows at this time of year. So, it was good days to do that. Just let the air flow through the house. So, we're okay. And he's fine. He has no symptoms, and he's tested negative. So, I'm home alone. So, but I'm not alone though. I have friends and family checking on me. The people that I mentioned earlier. My mother-in-law brought soup down, and it was delicious, and it was a godsend. It was funny. I mean, she walked in the house, slammed that on the kitchen table, and she was out. She was like, not staying in here. But I wasn't alone. My tribe was there. My friends and family were there. So I was confident in being alone in the home. So it's been a recovery. For the last few days. So basically, I have inflamed lungs, and part of being an asthmatic. So I just have to heal. So, but what I want to point out is that I'm not listening to my body, and it's arrogant to say that I was. I didn't trust my instincts. I didn't trust the tools at hand, which I'll go over in a second. But I didn't listen. I haven't been listening to my body, and most of us don't really listen to our body. I tell you right now, Rob's not listening to his body. It's we all tend to get these minute changes that become normal as time progresses. So and it kind of hit me because I have nothing but time on my hands right now. It's like I couldn't go to the office. I didn't work for 3 days. Like I shut down. I let people know I needed to heal mentally as well. So, but I started watching my YouTube videos, and I started watching myself. And I noticed in my last couple of videos, I was huffing and puffing a little bit. And I just didn't know that I was huffing and puffing. And so my lungs, the inflammation has been there from the asthma, and I wasn't reacting to it on medical sense. And so when this event happened, it actually put me at higher risk. And that's because I'm this sexy middle-aged man with this, we're overweight. And so our lungs are working harder, our heart's working harder. There's nothing that you don't already know, and I don't already know. But it's like it became normal for me. So the huffing and puffing, and I saw it in the video, and I was like, wow, like I really am not as healthy as I, in my mind, like to think I am. So that's kind of on me. And, and I think when you look, hindsight is 2020, when you look at like the people that, the morbidly obese that died of COVID, and, just the people that should not have passed otherwise, it's quite possibly because of situations like mine where, and I could have been one of them, where the inflammation was, was there, and we just didn't think we had it, and we didn't know, or whatever. So I'm kind of beating that dead horse a little bit. So I'm like, trust your instincts. If you think it's not normal, it's not normal for your body. So, but back to the homesteading thing, to kind of bring this into a circle. Many people seem to think homesteaders want to go completely off grid, and that's not necessarily true. There are those that do, and there are those that do take it to the extreme, and that's their business, their life, so forth. But generally, we're tethered to the American medical institution, whether we like it or not. And it's not a bad thing. I think it's a matter of understanding, a lot. And, and in our society, you and me both, we're overeducated or oversaturated with information, and we have it coming at us, this stress of information always coming at us. And we don't have the ability to metabolize it all. We just don't, and when it comes to the medical stuff, sometimes we know just enough to be a danger to ourselves. So we are tethered to this medical institution in our country, the medical grid, if you will. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. So the homesteading world, there's this group or clique that is just like, we got to get off the medical grid. We want nothing to do with it. Blah 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 blah. And the fact of the matter is the knowledge is there that we understand our bodies now. The research is there, understanding nutrients and the different chemicals and the different hormones and the enzymes and all that stuff. And even from 15 years ago to now, the knowledge is so unbelievably different that it's foolish not to be aware of what's going on in the medical world, and not, it's foolish to stay away from it completely. What if I had made that choice on Monday? I probably wouldn't be sitting here making this video. That's just the reality of it. So our medical professionals, our doctors, our nurses, and so forth, they're wonderful people. I think, and I'd like to think that 99.999% of them are caring individuals that are in it for the right reasons. The only caveat to that is I think they're stuck where they are because of the system of our insurance medical system. So I think they're good people stuck in a very vicious machine that they can't really see a way out of, that is, I want to say sustainable, because sure, you could be a doctor and not have a practice. I mean, it's like, what's the point? but the professionals that I've encountered in my life have been wonderful, caring people. So I think we're all tethered to this in some way. And people are like, well, I'm perfectly healthy and I never go to the doctor. I'm like, but if you wear glasses or have hearing aids or go to the dentist or any of that stuff, you're tethered to the medical grid. So I think that we need to trust our medical professions and professionals enough to our benefit. But we also need to educate ourselves to understand what questions to ask and so forth. Blind faith is not always a good answer, but for when it comes to medical, I should say. But I do think, like I trust my doctor. My doctor, even though we disagree about a lot of things politically sometimes, she will never steer me wrong. She knows me, she understands me, she respects me, and if I make a decision for myself that doesn't agree with, she will stay. This is why I don't agree with it, but she'll agree. She'll let me make my decision. And that's just how she is. But I'm kind of beating that up a little bit. So when it comes to our medical, I don't think any of us will be 100% off the medical grid. I don't think it's possible. I think in today's society, I think the only way really off is through our food and through our education of our food, and obviously the other things like mind, body, soul, and all that. But I don't think we're ever going to be completely free of that individually. So, but back to what I just went through, it was awful. It was awful on me. It was awful on Rob. It was awful on our friends and family. My father's 87 years old, who's fine, by the way. He went through his surgery, and I was worried after the fact that I didn't know I had the flu. I had no symptoms. I had a runny nose on Friday. That I may have infected him. I was so worried about that because, again, 87 is not a spring chicken, and so he was worried. He's calling me 3 times a day, and so it was scary what it did to the people in my life and my tribe. So I feel this a little bit of guilt. I'm not going to beat myself. I mean, I'm a Catholic, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I mean, but it's a guilt to awareness. Like, I understand now that what I've been doing isn't working. And so I'm going to have to rely on this medical grid a little bit to get me around this corner that I'm on. Because sexy stud muffin here is maybe a sexy stud muffin up here, but he's not very healthy. So what I learned is that you have to listen to your bodies, and you have to understand that sometimes this new thing may not necessarily be a new normal, and it may be something dangerous to your body. So, but you don't want to go into hypochondria either, so be careful of that. So some of the takeaways, because I'm in true Two Bears fashion, I have some takeaways. And the first thing is, have tools and use them. I have this pulse oximeter. It's something I have because of my asthma. I didn't use it Sunday night. If I used it Sunday night, I might have been making different decisions, possibly. But I think everybody should have one of these. It's a great tool. The pulse oximeter it just measures the oxygen saturation through your fingertips and your blood. We've all had one of these stuck on our finger at some point. Your pulse ox saturation should be 100%. Doctors will be okay with 98, 99 because, not everything's hunky-dory perfect every single time. But you want to be as close to 100% as possible. You start dipping down to 95, then you're in the very low range of normal, which is, as low as you really want to go. And once you start dipping below that, between like 90 and 95, you want to pick up the phone and call your doctor or go to the clinic or something. You just don't want to mess around with it because that's your body saying the oxygen's not getting there. And below that, you must seek professional help. You must go to the clinic. You must go to your doctor. I was in a danger zone, and I was in danger zone for what figures out to be like 12 hours. Not a good thing. So you must pay attention to that kind of stuff. This tool is cheap. It was I think this was 20, I've had this a couple of years. I think it's $20, and I picked it up. This is a Walgreens one, actually. You get a Walgreens, CVS, any drugstore, around the drug counter at your supermarket, you'll probably see these, Walmart, Amazon, you'll find them. The other thing I think you should have is a blood pressure gauge. That I think is a vital tool to have in your medicine kit. Everybody should have a medicine kit, but the blood pressure gauge is a good tool. I'm overweight, so I do monitor my blood pressure from time to time, and I am on medication for it. It's just that's something that I am working on to get myself off of, is get off of that those medications. But took me all these years to get here. It's not going to happen overnight to get back on the other side of that. But that's my ultimate goal, is to get off of any of those long-term meds. The other tool, obviously, is the thermometer. I had no fever through all this, so definitely have a good quality digital thermometer. You need to have these things on hand. At least that's my opinion. Every household, homesteading or not. So those are the tools. I'll tell you, I dropped the ball when I didn't utilize the tools. So one thing is, it's largely about numbers. Science is numbers, like math. The numbers don't lie. The numbers they were telling me I was in trouble, and I didn't respond accordingly. So I kind of went on this little bit of a tirade. I want to say it's a tirade. I went on this little bit of a chatty rant. I'm not normally one for sitting and just doing a straight shot video like this. I'd rather be out doing the gardening. I'm just, I finally, was able to putter around the house and clean the house up a little bit, and, that kind of stuff. But I would rather be in the kitchen making videos about what I'm doing and what I'm canning. I mean, I spent a lot of time making up my canning list and my food preservation list of things that I want to do for my pantry. So I think it's, this has taken away from what I really want out of life. But I do believe in sharing this. I do believe in saying I'm embarrassed for myself. I'm sad that I put people that I love through this. But I do believe this is kind of like a watershed moment for me. And I do believe that it's kicking me in the butt a little bit to get back to what's important. So, but anyway, I'm again, I've rambled on, so I'm gonna, say thank you for, sitting through this if you did, and please, hit that like and subscribe button. Comment below. Keep them respectful. Please let me know what your thoughts are, your stories, all that stuff. I'd love to see the comment. But follow us on our journey. We don't have very many videos in yet, so we're learning and we're documenting as we go. I can see like my front sliders right there. I can see my Vigo raised bed garden that I still have to finish working on yet. That was this week's project, but clearly it's not happening this week. So I want to document that stuff, and I want to share this stuff with you and bring you along. So I thank you very much for your time, and we'll just catch you on the next video. Thank you so much.